Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a massive issue in the modern workplace, leadership. We're going to look at why so many leaders seem to fail and how we can start building them better right from the ground up.
All right, let's just jump right in with a number that's, well, it's pretty startling. 70%.
Yeah, you heard that right. Some research suggests that a huge majority of people in leadership roles just aren't leading effectively. The source material actually calls this a leadership abyss. And that's a perfect description. It's this huge gap between the leadership we desperately need and the leadership we actually have.
So this immediately begs the question, right? If so many leaders are struggling, is the problem really with the people? Or is it how we're developing them in the first place? Are we trying to build our leaders on a completely flawed foundation? To really get our heads around this, let's use a powerful metaphor that gets right to the heart of the issue. Think about leadership development like you're building a massive skyscraper.
See, here's the problem. A lot of organizations, they're in a huge rush. They want to see that tall, impressive structure of a leader. The skills, the big actions, the immediate results. But they totally forget that a skyscraper can't stand for a second without a deep, solid, and really well-engineered foundation.
And this leads us straight into the core conflict, the big battle and how we approach leadership development. It's this constant tug of war between a leader's skill set and their mindset.
Okay, so this slide breaks it down perfectly. The skill set, that's the what. It's the visible structure, right? The techniques, the actions, it's all the stuff that's easy to see and train. But the mindset, that's the why. It's the invisible foundation. It's the core beliefs, the values, the self-awareness that supports everything else a leader does. It might be hidden, but it is absolutely critical.
So, what happens when that foundation is weak? Well, just like with a real building, you start to see these dangerous cracks appearing all over the structure.
And the first, most obvious crack, it's ego. You know the one I'm talking about. It's when a leadership position becomes a platform for self-importance instead of for serving the team. It's that classic, do you know who I am? Attitude that just instantly destroys trust.
And once that crack of ego appears, well, all these other problems just start to follow. It leads to this total unawareness, this massive blind spot about how they're actually coming across to others. Then you get what the source calls greetership, I love that term, where personal gain trumps people every time. This usually hardens into a fixed mindset, creating these dinosaur leaders who just can't adopt. And it all ends in terrible communication, leaving the team confused, without a clear purpose, all because the leader's foundation is pointed inward.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. No way. To see the real-world damage this can do, let's check out a case study from the source material. It involves a large, high-stakes team at a major bank.
An assessment of this team found that their trust score was a shockingly toxic 1.5 out of 10. Just let that sink in. The environment was so broken that people were in full-on defense mode, just trying to protect themselves 24/7. In a state like that, there is absolutely zero room for collaboration, for creativity, or for any kind of real performance.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. We have got to fundamentally shift our focus. Instead of getting all dazzled by the shiny skyscraper of skills, we have to get serious, really serious, about laying the core foundation of mindset.
So how do we even build this foundation? Well, the source points to 4 key pillars. It all starts with self-confidence, and we're not talking about arrogance, but the real courage to act. Then, and this one is huge, you master self-awareness, really understanding your own baggage and biases. From there, it's about seeing multiple perspectives, looking beyond your own viewpoint. And finally, you got to flip the action switch. That's the mental shift that takes you from just knowing about leadership to actually doing it.
And here's the magic. When you actually prioritize this foundation, you stop building fragile leaders, and you start creating something way more powerful, what the source calls limitless leadership.
So what is limitless leadership? Well, it has nothing to do with a title or a corner office. It's a type of leadership that's resilient, sustainable, and consistently high-performing, all because its strength comes from that deep inner engineering of mindset. It's what lets a leader navigate a crisis with calm or inspire a team to do the most amazing, innovative work.
So here's the bottom line. All of those things that organizations are obsessed with, strategy, innovation, execution, they are just buzzwords without the right foundation. You can have the best plan in the world, but if your leaders don't have the internal capacity and stability to actually make it happen, it's completely worthless. A solid foundation is what turns a great plan into a great reality.
And that brings us to our final thought. It's a question worth asking ourselves, whether we're in charge or part of a team. What is our leadership foundation really built on? Is it a solid bedrock of mindset, or are we just balancing on an impressive but pretty fragile structure of skills? The answer to that could change everything.